Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Wendell Lamine James Show. We're glad to have you on tonight. Tonight we have a special guest, and it's an honor for me to have him on the show. We have Nanee from Barrios Unidos. I met Nanee some years ago in DVI Tracy, and I got memories that I'll have for the rest of my life with this man coming on to the prison yard that I was at, DVI. So I'm going to bring on Nanee and allow him to say and tell us who he is. Nanee, welcome to the show.
Wendell, thank you. It's an honor to be here, to sit here and just kind of reflect on some of our history, how we met, and what we're doing here today. It's amazing to be able to say, we come from a long ways, and within the prison walls to here to do this show and talk about recovery, talk about hope, talk about our dreams that we have as human beings, and what the state of incarceration has done to many people, and how we deal with it on a daily basis. So that's kind of has been one of our, for the last 26 years, that Barrios Unidos that we focus on, trying to bring that hope into the institutions.
Right.
Yeah.
As I stated that, I met you some years ago in DVI.
Yeah.
I met you to a little buddy of mine, Ernie Barella.
Yeah. Ernie Barella, yes.
I get kind of touchy when I talk about Ernie. Ernie
Yes.
was a really friend of mine.
Yeah.
And he passed on. He left us, but I met you through Ernie. You came in, and
Yeah.
I had a show that I was doing. Matter of fact, a program I was doing, the Multicultural Motivation Development Group, and Ernie was part of that for a short period of time. But he introduced me to you, and he gave me your history, and I was really amazed, man, that you are and you were at the time doing the work that you were doing. You was coming into prison and changing people's lives.
Yeah.
And I commend you for that.
Yeah.
So you have a history, man, and it reigns in these prisons.
Yeah.
We give you a lot of respect.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about Barrios Unidos.
Well, let me, since you brought up Ernie, let me, whatever comes out of my mouth and that I dedicated to Ernie Barella, because if it hadn't been for Ernie Barella, we probably would have never met, because he stretched his hand out to us, him and Arnold Trevino, and invited us to come to DVI, and that's how we got there, and he opened the door for us. Unfortunately, Ernie Barella, after 30 years in prison, died of cancer in the institutions. And, I went to his hometown because his family didn't know him any. They didn't know who Ernie Barella was, really, because he had been in prison so long. But I delivered a message of who Ernie was and how he had changed his life and how he had affected many people. And his family and his nephews and that big family had a lot to really felt his spirit. So I did the eulogy, and we took some dancers and stuff that had danced for Ernie at the prison, some Aztec dancers. So we honored him in the way that he should have been honored. So again, dedicated to Ernie Barella. Barrios Unidos, we're a nonviolence organization that started in 1977. And basically, we were tired of seeing our homeboys killing each other in the barrios, and we wanted to do something about it. We wanted to bring some hope, stop the madness, and we didn't know at that time what we were doing, but we were going to too many funerals, and it was our own people killing our own people. So we formed this organization called the In Barrio Warfare Movement, which was to go out to different cities and educate our own people about how we were committing crime against each other, and how can we bring that together. What can we do to bring our young people together? So we took the cry out of Barrios Unidos, United Neighborhoods. So we were trying to unite the neighborhoods, and that grew into from Southern California, Northern California. And then it started to grow to other states. And then we became the National Coalition of Barrios Unidos, which we had chapters in Virginia, Washington, D.C., Washington State, Texas, Arizona, and throughout the other places in the country. Now, we had some people that international that were in Nicaragua and El Salvador that began because of Barrios Unidos. So it's had a little history, and we're trying to continue. It's changed a little bit, but our mission is still stop the violence through what we've learned is economic development, culture, and spiritual work has always been the core of Barrios Unidos. But how do we survive in this economic world of nonprofits, of corporations, and foundations? So becoming a 501c3, all of a sudden you have to report. You have to do all these reporting, contracts, and all that kind of stuff that you do, and you still got to stay focused on the streets. Right. So that's kind of where we're at now. We're able to purchase almost 2 acres of prime real estate in Santa Cruz in 1997. Out of that, we were able to refinance, and we bought 5 acres up on the hills. It was called the Walter Guzman Retreat Center, after our former chairman and spiritual leader, Walter Guzman. And that is a place for healing. It's a place for people to go and reflect on their lives. We have our ceremonies there. We have our sweat lodge. We couldn't afford houses, so we built tree houses, and then get some nice tree houses, And it's a place for people to go and pray and just get away from the madness, So that's and then involved in policy, trying to change different ways of how this country deals with people in the system.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I know you do a lot of work in the prisons. Matter of fact, you even go to Sacramento. You're advocate for the lifers in prison. And I've been out of prison for 8 months now. Matter of fact, 8 months this month. And while I was in prison, I know for a fact you went to Sacramento a few times for us, and you spoke for us, and it worked. Mm-hmm. It worked. I'm home. I did 27 years, 9 months, and I'm home behind some of the stuff that you said in Sacramento. It changed the way people thought on the board prison terms. Mm-hmm. We had the population in prison was overcrowded. Yes. Over capacity. I mean, they had people sleeping in the hallways, and mm-hmm. They called it the runway, or different names they had for people sleeping in the hallways. But they had to bring the population down, and they had to keep it down. So mm-hmm. some of the stuff that you went to Sacramento and spoke about, it made a difference. It made a difference. Yeah.
Yeah, we have to keep talking about it because politicians are not going to change unless you put pressure on them, and these policies that they created years ago to try to deal with the predator concept that they began years ago, and to undo those things, you have to be involved and stuff. But again, being able to go into an institution and try to bring some hope in there, some art, some music, so that it brings people together. Art is a path to peace. Art brings people together. Right. At DVI or everywhere we've gone to do work, when we bring the drum in, mm-hmm. the drum attracts people. When you hit the drum out in the yard, people perk their ears up. Right. And it could be an African drum, it could be a Native American drum, an Irish drum. It could be a drum of any cultures, because all our cultures have that drum. Exactly. And we hear that drum beat. Right. And in DVI, it was because you could see the lockup, the hole right next to the yard. So whenever the drum, you could hear those guys inside from deep in the belly of the beast yell out. And so we acknowledge them also through the music, and that you could hear the music out there, so people would know that someone was in the house that was bringing something different. And that's what I think that we've tried to do is bring something different, other than trying to get you to come to my church. Right. And I'm not, because we all want people to do better, and it takes a lot. But it wasn't about preaching. It wasn't. It's about how are we going to help each other.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
for all the resources that are there, the human resources there, and the knowledge. I think that for many years, this society never thought about bringing the Wendells and the Nates and the Ernie Barelas to the outside world.
No, no.
You know,
We was, I speak about we have this show, and this show is for long-time offenders coming home from prison, because a lot of us went in prison. We did the ultimate crime, took somebody's life. So when you go into prison for a murder, taking somebody's life, they feel that you should go in prison and never get out.
Yeah.
Throw the key away, put it on the jackrabbit, and let it run, right? But in a lot of cases, people went insane, temporarily insane, for that second. But we went in prison and we rehabilitated ourselves, right? We came back from our insanity. A lot of people in society went insane and they never came back.
yeah,
But we went in prison. I got educated. I went to school. I got educated, and I came home with the intent to try to change somebody's life, because I don't want somebody to do what I did, go in prison, and with the hope of never coming home. Because once you get into a life sentence, you don't know whether you're going to ever come home or not. You have to fight and you have to dream that one day I'm gonna get out, and eventually you will. But you have to hold on to that dream. A lot of people go in there and give up hope. So we have to come home from prison with the intent to come home and try to stop the recidivism, stop the cycle from going on, and we can do it.
yeah. Well, that's just the fact that we're sitting here after 8 months out of prison.
Right.
Didn't start the day you got out of prison.
Exactly.
That started a long time ago. And that's what we need to change the public's opinion, that if you're gonna send somebody to prison, throw away the key and not give that person an opportunity to change and to rehabilitate himself or herself, then we're not doing justice to nobody. It makes no sense. But when you give the tools to someone inside the institutions to be able to say, all right, we all make mistakes. You made a mistake. Now you're going to work on that. And then there's those that don't want to work on it too. So, you see that, people that had been there for a long time and they're not going to get out. They're not going to get out. And we have to face reality that it's there and there's no denying about it. But the majority of the people that are there are going to come home. They're going to come home, and we have to be prepared to be able to receive you when you come home. And by having organizations go in there and work while you're there, so that they can help you in the process of reentry. So they connect you to those resources that person is going to need is very valuable, because the Department of Corrections is not going to do it. They're not going to do it. And if they do, they're not going to do it the way community does.
Exactly.
There's a difference,
Exactly.
So.
Well, who's better to tell somebody something other than somebody that experienced it? You know what I mean? When you go into prison, they got people coming to prison that's been to college, got textbook, but somebody that's been on the same side of the track that you've been on, you've been there.
Yeah.
You come in, you give us information that we listen to. Right? You brought in Dr. Childs from Career College, I believe it was.
From UC Santa Cruz,
Santa Cruz.
Dr. John Brown Childs.
Right,
Yes.
about Dr. Childs. And the day that I went down, I when he first started the program, I went down, I introduced the motivation group. That day, you might remember Ernie gave me one of them red balls, and my whole head was sweating that day. I was trying to speak about the motivation group. My whole head was sweating. But anyway, long story short, Dr. Childs spoke that day about what he wanted to do. He wanted to bring in something to the prison system. And he brought in a program from a college, a university, inside of a prison. That don't happen, man.
Transcommunalities, and that is an incredible program, and also bringing and reaching out to people within the celebrity world that support that. People like Mike Farrell, people like Harry Belafonte, Danny Glover, and in San Quentin you have Carlos Santana that does a few times has done concerts in San Quentin. Mike Farrell being in Santa Cruz, and I think we have a photo of you and Mike Farrell in one of the dining halls there, and came and brought some hope, and he's still very active. We had Harry Belafonte come in and share some words. Danny Glover has always supported and continued on, you know. So we have a variety of folks that are coming in, and when you have people that come in and believe in what you're doing, you bring in people that have educated themselves, come back into the institutions, and continue to help. We have another photograph. This is O.T. Quintero. He's the assistant director at Barrios Unidos. But Mike, on the right side of O.T., also I think 28 years in prison. Incredibly educated man, doing some great stuff. And here we have being embraced by the community to say, man, we believe in you. And that has a lot to do with how we change how we do things, And so very, very.
You're doing outstanding work, man. And you brought in the Juneteenth festival. You brought in Cinco de Mayo to the prisons, and that people don't realize. See, that's something that we look forward to every year. And they say, well, June is coming, May is coming. Okay, we're getting ready for Cinco de Mayo. We're getting ready for Juneteenth, and we prepare for that. We a whole year when you brought in cars, you brought in car shows, you brought the dancers, you brought stuff into prison where we can say, well, next year, Nanee's coming in, he's gonna bring in certain. Ernie used to prepare that. He used to put the flyers up and said, we're gonna get the cars this year, we're gonna get the motorcycles, we're gonna get whatever. He put work in. Yeah. He put work in for a lot of years. And so we commend you for the work that you do. And that you continue to do to this day, because without people like you coming into the system, it wouldn't happen, man. It wouldn't happen because.
Well, when you bring in programs, and especially when you dedicate it to a multicultural, as we see here, at Cinco de Mayo, or Juneteenth, towards the end of the times that we were there, it wasn't a brown thing or a black thing. It was a multicultural event, and people respected and honored, and that's part of what Dr. John Brown Childs talks about. The transcommunalities is that if we learn about each other's cultures, we find out that we have more things in common than we don't.
Exactly.
And if you can come together in a setting like prison. And talk about these issues. Not that we're going to hang out all day, but that we recognize each other's cultures. Right. We recognize where we're at, and we're moving forward.
Right.
We're moving forward, and so by people out here seeing that in those communities, really can help help us out here to be even work better together.
Right. Yeah, they can. Yeah. Like I said, you make a big difference, man, and you have a lot of respect in prison, because the brothers in prison they look forward to someone coming in with gentle hands, opposed to the hands that we get on a daily basis, being talked to like we don't make a difference, we're mistreated in things in that area, because we like I said, we made a wrong in a life, but like I say, every time that you get locked up in prison, everybody doesn't go to the yard and drive iron. Everybody don't go to the yard and get on the monkey bars and start on the monkey bars. Everybody don't sit down and play dominoes and cards all day. Yeah. We don't. A lot of people don't do that. I didn't do it. I don't even know how to play cards. I don't even know how to play dominoes. I got educated. I went to school. Yeah. I went in prison. I didn't even know how to read and write. I had a bad speech impediment where I had to start over in speech. So I went to school. I went to got educated. Got a high school diploma. I got a GED. I'm a certified drug counselor. I went to school and worked on me because I needed work. Yeah. I knew one day I was going to come home. I didn't know when, I knew one day I was going to come home, and I couldn't come home the same way I went in.
Yeah.
So it's about change.
Well, there's that old saying by Nelson Mandela. If you come out with all that hate that you had in there, you're still going to be in prison.
Exactly.
So you got to forgive.
Exactly.
And as we're seeing in this image of culture and being able to bring the drum and to have people dancing on the yard. People of different races, blacks holding hands with whites with northerners with southerners. It is unheard of. Remember the first time we did this, it was CEOs were coming out of everywhere saying, what's going on? Well, I've been here 20, 25 years. I've never seen anything like this. So you bring the culture and you get those CEOs that do believe in that do believe in that there is change. You get the support.
Right.
You get the support of the CEOs, and they know that it's going to be, it's going to be different. It's going to be good.
Yeah.
People used to say, when you guys leave DVI, you can feel the peace for a while. So
we did.
Yeah.
We did.
Yeah,
When you came and brought programs into the prison, and you left, people that talked on the yard that day, it continued.
Mm-hmm.
It continued. I met people in the yard that I had never spoke to until you came for the Juneteenth or Cinco de Mayo, and we had a history from that day on because we can pass in passing we can say, hey, how you doing, man?
Yeah.
Opposed to the day before,
Yeah.
we passed by each other and didn't say nothing.
Yeah.
So it makes a difference. It really makes a difference.
Yeah.
The work that you do, it really does. So we want to keep on doing the stuff that you're doing because in sometime in life, everybody that went in prison, they're gonna come out one way or the other. Either they're gonna come out upright, or they're gonna come out with a toe.
That's right.
Tag on the toe.
That's right.
We want them to come out upright.
Mm-hmm.
We want them to come out better men than they were when they went in prison, and that's what we work for. That's what Barrio Shanito's work to do, and like I said, I've seen it with my own eyes. I'm a product of it.
Yeah.
I'm a product of it. I came up with the dream, and the dream was to come home and make a difference. And I went to Ernie because I started the program in prison, the Motivation Development Group, and I went to Ernie and I asked Ernie. I said, Ernie, multicultural. They got the multicultural program that Nanee brought in. Hey, could I change my name to Multicultural Motivation Development Group? And he said, hey, man, I got to check on that. I got to check that out. He said, I don't know, man. I got to check that out, right? So Ernie came back a couple of days later and said, hey, man, that'd be a good idea. He said, multicultural for everybody.
Yes.
Not just for blacks or whites or Hispanic, but everybody.
Yeah.
So we got blacks, we got Hispanics, we got Asian, we got all groups coming to our program in prison, and they sit in the same dining hall with no friction.
Yeah.
No hate, no nothing. They sit there for 2 hours every Saturday, and it's still going on to this day.
Yeah.
They sit there for 2 hours, and they talk about what's needed to be talked about.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
yeah. Well, like I was saying, when you have staff that supports what is going on inside, supporting the community organizations that are coming in, you have a whole different set of feelings. The atmosphere is different. You could feel it. I remember one time we brought mariachis in, and we're in the dining hall, and the mariachis are playing, and this one young man had been there for a while. He looks and he goes, "Wow! For a minute, I forgot where I was at. I thought I was at a Mexican restaurant."
Yeah.
And so for that little bit,
he wasn't there.
He wasn't there.
He wasn't there. Yeah.
And that's what whenever we take a group, like I've been taking this Brazilian group into Soledad, which that's where I'm doing work right now, in Soledad Prison, and we bring the Brazilian group up, and I tell the fellows, I says, how many of you have been to Brazil? And maybe one will raise their hand, but I said, well, we're all going to journey to Brazil. And then we bring in, the band starts up, and our sister Danda comes out and starts to sing and dance and for a while they're in Brazil. Yeah, and so you work with them, you bring in the culture, and you do the rest of the work.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah. Yeah,
and
it's
so then
amazing.
you come out, and here we are,
Here we are. Here we
sitting
are.
in a TV
Yeah,
station,
isn't that something?
just doing some powerful work,
Some
and
powerful
it's
work.
not our work,
Right, right.
creators' work.
Exactly,
The
exactly,
creators' work
exactly.
led us there.
Yeah, exactly.
So
I'm a firm believer that everything that happens for a reason.
yeah,
Me going to prison happened for a reason. Stopped me from doing what I was doing. And
yeah,
I did the metamorphosis. I did a complete change
yeah,
from the monster I used to be to who I am now.
yeah,
So I come home now. Now everything happens for a reason.
yeah,
We in a studio, doing an interview with Nanee from Bars and Needles.
yeah,
I've been home 8 months from prison. I have a TV show.
yeah,
Unbelievable.
yeah.
Only happened in America.
Yeah. Well, let me introduce the next generation,
Okay.
because you and I as older men here talking, and we've gotten to do a lot of work together, and we're still going we still have a lot of work,
Right.
but we have to pass that baton to the younger generation so that they can see it. And I met this a young lady a few months ago, and wanted to do some work, and from the University of Georgia to come out to Santa Cruz, and so we talked on the phone and stuff, and everything got this way. But since she's been here, she's taken over the Santa Cruz Prison Project, and is doing amazing work. So I want to introduce Ms. Mandy Pruitt to the program here, and maybe she can talk a little bit about why and what's she doing, because we have to encourage young people to stay involved.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
Welcome to the show, Mindy.
Good to be here.
Welcome to
Thank
the
you
show.
for having
We're
us.
glad to have you, and we're glad that you become part of our Barrios Unidos. You're
Yeah.
working with a man here that he's going to give you the right way, and we want to know the work that you do. What are you doing to change lives?
So I'm the coordinator for something called the Prison Project, and it's a program in Barrios Unidos, and we support those who are currently incarcerated, and we do this by giving them cultural material and access to spirituality and other resources. So the main sort of project within this is our correspondence. So individuals from all over the state, all over the country even, will send letters to the Prison Project asking for certain resources about getting back into the community, or they just want information about their culture. And so we provide this information to them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And you Nanee said you came from Georgia
Yes, sir.
to California.
Yeah.
Welcome to Cali.
Good to be back.
Welcome
Good to
Cali.
be back. I've missed it. Yeah.
We need you. We need your help.
So can you talk a little bit about the internship that you're also doing within what you're trying to
Yeah,
accomplish for your school?
Certainly. So I'm an undergraduate student at the University of Georgia studying criminal justice and sociology. And part of my degree requires that I complete a semester-long internship. And finding Barrios Unidos, it actually just fell into my lap. I found out about this organization through an academic article from Dr. Victor Rios, I believe, who is a UC Santa Barbara professor.
Yes.
And I just looked on their website and just how community-based this organization was. A lot of the information I learned in my courses about reentry, so it's so much involved in the community, and if you don't have that, then reentry isn't going to work. So my values aligned very well with the mission that Barrios Unidos had, which got me to reach out. Yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna take this on to another week. This show is getting this conversation with Nanee and Minnie is getting good. We're gonna have to take this another week. We're gonna stop this right now, and we're gonna go on to next week. So this show will continue next Saturday at 7:00 on Channel 29. If you don't get it on Saturday night, you can watch it Monday at 1:30. So this show will continue next week. Thank you and have a good evening.